like to call to order the Hatfield Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting for December 18, 2019. Roll call.
President Zipfel.
Here.
Vice President Hughes. Commissioner Andrus.
Here.
Commissioner Rogers.
Here.
Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
No great surprise. It is a bittersweet night with Commissioner Thomas's last, really kind of maybe we'll take second to last meeting. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But her last meeting of a public meeting where it's on a regular scheduled night. So I would ask if you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, a couple of quick items before we get to the fun stuff. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
By Commissioner Thomas. I'm always going to give that to her tonight.
I'm sorry.
Second by Commissioner Andrus. All in favor of approving tonight's agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Next is the consent items. Is there a motion to move the consent items in the agenda into the record? By Commissioner Thomas.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rogers. For those of you who are here and watching, it is Board of Commissioners regular meeting minutes for November 20th, the Treasurer's report for the month of December, and the bills payable. Paid bills in the amount of $22,934.30, and unpaid bills in the amount of $746,544.33. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor of approving those items and moving them into the record, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, those are approved. All right, consent items. Citizens' comments. Any citizens' comments on agenda items only at this point? All right, nothing so far, so we are going to start with the the first fun special item, which is the recognition of Commissioner Laura Thomas for her service to the Hatfield community. And Commissioner Thomas, if you would join me and Mr. Bureau to the podium.
Oh, yeah.
That right there is good.
Let everybody see this.
I'm going to make her stand up here and sweat a little bit. She's seen me do this for 4 years and probably for years, a number of years before then. And now she has to just sit here and listen to what we say about her, which could be fun or it could be painful. We're not really sure. We're just going to see how it goes.
Waiting for pictures.
Well, maybe we'll get to those. I mentioned it before, and I will say it again. Tonight is a bittersweet moment for us, and it's bittersweet because, bitter for the obvious, we're going to lose one of our best commissioners, and we're going to say a lot of nice things, but that is first and foremost. She's been an absolutely fantastic commissioner for this entire township. Sweet because we know that this will free up some time for her personally, and that means that she won't be with us in that regard at every one of the meetings, but she will be able to live a normal life and enjoy her evenings with her family and friends. So a little bit about Commissioner Thomas. We're recognizing her tonight, not just as a commissioner, but as a volunteer to this community. She has been a commissioner for 4 years, and as I mentioned before, a fantastic commissioner, undoubtedly. But many of you might not know that she has volunteered in this community for 20 years or more in some capacity or another. Most significantly and more recently, before she became a commissioner, with the Park and Rec board, where she was on that board until 2007, or started in 2007. And then when she was elected in 2015, obviously, she stepped down from that. But one of her primary responsibilities as a commissioner was to be a guidepost to kind of usher through all the good things that board has done for the last 4 years under her tutelage. It's been her committee. And I say that, I use those words specifically. It's been her committee. You've not just heard her give an update on a monthly basis, a couple of times a month actually, but if there was ever a question of what was going on in the township, especially when it came to Parks and Rec, I knew who to go to because she wasn't just doing it as a job. It was really kind of a conviction for her, and it was a great passion that she had, and we hope will continue to have even after the expiration of your being a commissioner. Couple of items I didn't know until recently. Apparently, I learned that you are not, it's not uncommon for you to dress up as a pirate for Halloween events in our community. I never saw that, but that's learned something a little bit new about your fellow commissioners every day. Dressed up as Mrs. Claus for our Christmas events, and even dressed in a poodle skirt at our Oktoberfest. And I am told that we have pictures to prove that. I'm not sure if we have that this evening or not. And, oh, do we have?
Certainly do, Commissioner. Run through, but since you mentioned the poodle skirt, we'll go to that one first.
There we go. There's a special type of commitment and conviction and a little craziness when you're a volunteer, but especially when you become a commissioner and you have the internal fortitude, the guts to dress up like that. And this is our way of saying, a little way of embarrassing you and also saying thank you for that. You know, when Laura ran in 2015, she told the newspaper that one of her primary goals as a commissioner was to make sure that we operate within our means and that we provide quality services with the hope of not having to raise taxes. Well, we are on our 6th year of doing that, and the last 4 years, one of the biggest reasons that we are in that position is because of her efforts in a lot of different ways. Let me go back to the Park and Rec. That is an ever-changing, ever-growing responsibility, and we continue to provide those services and more because of her leadership, and so someone's got very big shoes to fill. We are remarkably grateful for your passion, and for that we're going to, we have a couple of gifts for you. The first that I'm going to give to you is our proclamation, and it reads as follows. Whereas the Hatfield Township Board of Commissioners desires to recognize Laura Thomas for her service to the Hatfield community as Commissioner for Ward 1. Whereas Laura Thomas has been a resident of Hatfield Township for 35 years. And whereas Laura Thomas served as Commissioner Liaison to the Park and Recreation Board, was a member of the Administration Committee, and the Clemens Park Master Plan Committee, which, by the way, my daughter served on, and I know that she truly enjoyed serving along with you on that. Whereas Laura Thomas served as a member of the Park and Recreation Board from 2007 to 2015 and was instrumental in the development of Music Feast and Rocktoberfest events, which are two of our biggest events throughout the year. And whereas Laura Thomas has been a steadfast supporter of increasing recreational programs for residents of all ages, expanding and developing the Hatfield Parks and Trail System, and now therefore be it proclaimed in accordance with the foregoing, that the Board of Commissioners of Hatfield Township does hereby endorse this proclamation as recognition to Laura Thomas for her commitment and dedication to Hatfield Township, proclaimed and presented this 18th day of December 2019. Thank you for everything that you've done. Every one of us wishes you all the best in the future. We have 2 gifts to give to her tonight. Obviously, they're both right here. First are the flowers. And the second is a tradition that started many years ago. This is a Hatfield Township chair, and it is engraved with her name and her years of service on it. And I've always thought that it's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of joke. It's now that you've retired from your position, you get to relax and enjoy an easy rocking chair. So again, congratulations. And before I bring some of the other people up, I want to thank you myself. All right, next on our list to say thank you was Chief, Chief Bill Tierney, if Bill...
There's no truth. I'm getting a rocking chair anytime soon, either. Anyway, Laura, you've been a great advocate of the police department. I think you can see by the support here that the men and women of the police department are very happy with the changes that you've been around to oversee. Small token of our appreciation, and it basically says, thank you for your thoughtful kindness and support. We greatly appreciate it.
Couple more people. All right, from our Park and Rec Board is George Landis, who is the chair, and Dan Brasher here tonight. Oh, I'm forcing you up to the podium to say at least a few words with it. Oh, you're not chair. Okay.
We just wanted to say thanks to Laura. Tom kind of summed it up pretty good, but Laura did start out as a great volunteer. She then came onto the park board. She's been at all our events, helping out at everything. Commissioner, she's been in all our meetings, which is amazing. I said something to you the other day. I hope you still come out. Hope you still volunteer because we really need you. We enjoy working with you. I think we all, appreciate everything you've done, and our programs and everything wouldn't be the same without you.
All right, bittersweet. We're going to take some photos. You can leave that there for a moment. If I could have some of the others come down into the well. The nice thing, I guess I'll leave it at this, and that is that we might be losing you as a commissioner this meeting, or like I said a few minutes ago, we actually have to have one more administrative meeting. Everyone's hope is that we're going to keep you in our township for many years, and in as many capacities as we can convince you to join us. You're absolutely welcome to join in any of the committees, and we're hopeful that you'll take us up on that offer. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So during my 4 years in office, we've accomplished quite a bit, and Tom had gone through some of it, but I'll touch on a few of the highlights in no particular order, because this is just what I could remember. We developed the plan to revitalize Clemens Park and recently added 7+ acres to it, and soon that first phase is going to occur, thanks to some development decisions. The Orvilla Road project was in the works for many years, but we will finally see it come to fruition this spring. And though it will be annoying for a time, it will be well worth it in the end. And the same for the 309 connector. With the diligent assistance of Aaron, Dave Bernhauser, and the staff, we have maintained our budget without a tax increase, all without sacrificing any services. The Commerce Volunteer Fire Department will soon see a new firehouse after all their hard work and the efforts of collaboration. We kept the citizens of Hatfield safe by maintaining an award-winning police department and adding several new officers. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to thank some people. First, my family and friends for their support. Sorry. Not only for the 4 years I was in office, but also the 8 years of campaigning leading up to my taking the oath. I'd like to thank Chief Tierney and the finest men and women in blue for chasing down incidents and tractor trailers for me. Thank you to John Wolf and the Public Works Department for cleaning up deer, tree messes, filling potholes, and clearing the streets of snow. Thank you to the administrative staff for keeping the township running behind the scenes. They do a wonderful job. Thank you to Ashley and Christine for all the awesome activities to keep the residents engaged and active. You guys are a joy to work with. Keep those creative juices flowing. Thank you to Tom and the board for welcoming this girl into a predominantly male-dominated office and always making me feel like my opinion mattered. Thank you to Aaron for always taking my phone calls and answering my incessant questions. We all know that it is you, the staff, the police department, and the public works that make this township run like clockwork, even when the clock in the conference room continuously falls off the wall. Finally, I would like to thank the residents of Ward 1 for putting their faith in me and electing me to this position. I hope I did you proud. It was an honor and a privilege to serve as your commissioner. To the incoming commissioners, Debbie Zimmerman and Greg Lees, I hope your 4 years are as educating and as enjoyable as mine were. You are fortunate to be associated with a wonderful group of people whom I now consider friends. I wish you all the very best and look forward to seeing everyone around the township. Thank you.
Everybody would be teary-eyed, so why don't we just... Okay, we have second recognition tonight, which is quite significant. And I'm going to ask Gary and Janet Haig of Haig's Christmas Tree to join me at the podium. And they may or may not have heard me say this in the past, but I will say it again. We're recognizing them tonight for something special, but one of the ways that we say thank you to our residents and get a little bit of joy out of it is maybe we bring you up here and publicly, make it uncomfortable. We surprise you and say thank you publicly, and that's our way of being appreciative. So for those of you who don't know, Haig's Christmas Trees won the 2019 National Christmas Tree Association Wreath Grand Championship. They received a blue ribbon. So let me tell you a little bit about Gary and Janet, and I can speak from a personal perspective. I met them first in 1996 when Sue and I and the kids went over, actually it was just me and Sue at the time, went over for our first Christmas tree. I met Gary that day, and the reason I met him is because we bought an enormous Christmas tree about 12 feet tall because we wanted the biggest Christmas tree we could find. And I had a tiny little geostorm that was barely the size of this Christmas tree. And I'm not sure I would have met Gary that day, except somebody who was kind enough to help me, one of his employees who was kind enough to tie the tree to the car, realized that the tree was bigger than the car. And so he ran over, and Gary came over, and he said, "I'm sorry, but I don't think we can do this." And understandably, I almost agreed, and I said, "But Mr. Haig, you can see my house. You can see the top of my house from here." And so that's how we got to know each other. And I will tell you that the two of them, Gary and Janet, I know we don't see them very often, as much as we might think, even though we're only about a half a mile from each other at most. But they are part of our family, because every Christmas when we come and we buy our Christmas tree there, and we get a tree for the troops or a wreath of some sort, that is a tradition that they are a part of, that I like to think that in a lot of ways they helped create. And so for 20 plus years, they have been a big part of our lives, and will continue to be for that very reason. So while we're recognizing them tonight for having won a national award, which is fantastic, and I'm sure you're very proud, and we are very proud, the truth is that we're also recognizing you because you are a part of so many residents, of the lives of so many residents in Hatfield, and have been for so many years, and we hope that you do it for many, many more. So we have a proclamation here in recognition for their award, and it reads as follows. Whereas the Hatfield Township Board of Commissioners desires to recognize Gary and Janet Haig, owners and operators of Haig's Christmas trees in Hatfield Township since 1984. And whereas Gary Haig of Haig's Christmas Trees received the National Grand Champion Blue Ribbon for his decorated wreath at the 2019 National Christmas Tree Association contest. And whereas Gary and Janet Haig will present 2 matching wreaths in the winning design to Pennsylvania's First Lady, Frances Wolf, which will be hung at the Governor's Mansion in Harrisburg. And whereas Gary Haig was qualified to enter by winning first place in this year's Pennsylvania Farm Show. And whereas Haig's Christmas Trees has received numerous awards at the state and national levels over the last 20 years. And now therefore be it proclaimed, in accordance with the foregoing, that the Board of Commissioners of Hatfield Township does hereby endorse this proclamation as recognition to Gary and Janet Haig for their dedication, hard work, and commitment to the Hatfield community, and quite frankly, for being a part of our family. Proclaimed and presented this 18th day of December 2019. Congratulations, and thank you for all the years of fantastic service to our community.
I'd like to point out one thing that Commissioner Zipfel kind of glossed over, and I don't think he realizes it, but he and his family were the very first family who participated in the Trees for Troops program at our location. We offer anybody who comes a chance to buy a tree that goes to the troops, either here or overseas. And they were the first ones that said, "Oh, we want to do that." And every year since, they have bought not only their own tree, but one that goes to a service member.
We really appreciate this being recognized as here in our own home township. It's very meaningful, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate Tom and his family coming over every year and getting their Christmas tree. So thank you very much.
I did. I let you hanging. I left you hanging only because out of just some begging and and Gary's generosity, it did end up on the top of the roof. But I didn't know if I should announce that. But it is. I could have. We live so close to their location. I probably could have walked it. And if it was small enough, I could have carried it. But like I said, it was a very big tree. And so next year, Chief just pointed out to me, maybe we'll have some of these replaced with some Hague trees. Thank you again for coming out, and thank you for everything that you've done for the township. All right, we're going to jump into our committee reports, and public safety is first, and we have a number of announcements. So October, November, and December updates. So on October 22nd, 23rd, 24th, Chief Tierney attended the conference for the National Association of Black Law Enforcement Officers, which was held in Philadelphia. The theme was changing the culture of policing, and there were many positive contacts that were made and beneficial information was shared. It was a very positive event. Chief, I'm not sure if it was that event or a similar event that you were in the newspaper for, so we appreciate that you and the department is involved. October 26th was National Drug Take-Back Day. Hatfield took in 303 pounds of unwanted drugs at the deposit site. All in all, Montgomery County collected almost 7,500 pounds of drugs. Very nice job done by all. On October 26th, Hatfield officers took part in the first responder day at the Telford Community Building. They were able to interact with the scouts and other attendees. On October 27th, the officers took part in the Diwali Festival at the Temple on Township Line Road. It was a great celebration in the for the Indian New Year, and if anyone has ever gone to that, you know that they have tremendous traditional food. It's just like a wall of food that they have built. It is fantastic. On Halloween night, officers handed out candy to many children throughout Hatfield Township and the borough. This allowed for some great interaction with families, as well as providing some extra eyes out for safety on a night where, some people think that it's mischief night, but Chief and the entire staff was out in force. On November 1st, officers shared camaraderie with shoppers at the Giant on Cowpath Road. Our ongoing Coffee with a Cop program is always very well received and was well received on that day. On November 4th, Alex Marchak was appointed to the Detective Division within the Police Department. Alex moved from the Patrol Division to take place of Jay Cirillo, who was promoted to Lieutenant. On December 7th, Hatfield officers assisted with the annual Toy Truck Parade, which begins at the Hilltown Walmart and ends at the Montgomery Mall. This is a WXTU event where toys are gathered and transported by trucks that are escorted by local police department. Also on the same day, December 7th, Hatfield officers assisted at the Christmas tree lighting ceremony in Hatfield Borough, another big event for our area. It's a great event. If you haven't been to it, next year, put it on your calendar. Very well attended and a great night for the families. It was a great opportunity for the officers to interact with the borough residents as well as the township residents. On December 9th, Hatfield officers assisted the Plumstead Police with their Shop with a Cop event at the Hilltown Walmart. Officers had the pleasure of accompanying children around to pick out favorite toys for Christmas. On December 10th, Hatfield officers appeared at the Project Blue Light event in Horsham Township. This is an annual event to honor fallen police officers. The department sold $900 in challenge coins for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I think Chief had them here one evening at one of our meetings. The PBA also made a donation, and some other private funds brought the donation up to $1,263. Those donations will be presented to the Unite for Her cancer charity. And last, and certainly not least, the police department now has stickers for our residents who sign up for the Do Not Knock registry. For those of you who have attended some of our meetings before, we passed a Do Not Knock ordinance, initially begun with a recommendation by Commissioner Rogers, so we thank him for that. And these are removable stickers that can be placed in a visible location. It's one more step towards keeping unwanted solicitors away from our residential homes. So that is our update for public safety. Chief, can't thank you enough for a very successful entire year. And that just is a small tidbit of the many, many things that you and your entire department do. So thank you for that. Next is Finance Committee, Commissioner Andrus.
Yes, I want to read something here. You may have noticed a recent article about the local government in Chester County, where the township manager was recently charged with stealing $3.2 million from the township over a 6-year period. Now, the elected officials in that town are faced with the unenviable task of explaining to a packed public meeting room of angry residents about how this could have happened. It will take years to rebuild the public trust in that local government. I thought it'd be a good time to explain to our community about the steps we have taken over the past several years to ensure this will never happen in Hatfield Township. About 3 years ago, Aaron sent the board a documentary called All the Queen's Horses, which told the story of a local government employee who embezzled $54 million from a town of 16,000 in Illinois. It gave our board the opportunity to review our internal controls to make sure that we would never have that happen here. First, if you read what happened in Chester County, the township manager had complete and sole control of the financial system the township used. The manager was able to issue and sign checks without any other controls in place. Here in Hatfield, Aaron, the township manager, has no access at all to the software program used by the finance department. All the checks are listed and approved by the commissioners at a monthly regular meeting. Any checks above a certain threshold require 2 live signatures, one from the township manager and the second from the board president. The finance director, who has access to the financial software, does not have the authority to sign any of the checks. These controls, among several others, create the proper checks and balances to make sure the Hatfield taxpayers' money is safe and spent on the services to the residents. So, we took the opportunity to review, first off, the movie or the documentary that Aaron sent to us, All the Queen's Horses. We did that a couple years ago, and it highlights how townships of any size need to be very aware of the controls in place. So for that, much to what Laura had said earlier, our township staff is very good at dialing in what the issues are and putting the proper controls in place. So thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right. Park and Recreation Committee, Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you, President Zipfel. So our Get Fit winter sessions will be beginning in January. We've got yoga on Thursdays. That starts January 9th through February 13th from 7 p.m. to 7:45. Zumba on Mondays, starting January 6th through February 10th from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And Zumba 2 on Mondays, starting February 17th through March 23rd, 7 to 8 p.m. That will take place here in the Township building. You can, prices and registration information are available at hatfieldrec.com. We've started a series of pop-up events, and we had our first one on December 11th. It was a holiday bazaar. We had 17 vendors. It was a lightly attended event, but it was our first, so we're looking forward to next year's. The next Winter Wednesday pop-up event is January 15th. The activities include a family movie night, fire pit with s'mores, hot cocoa, and other seasonal snacks. There'll be a chili cook-off contest and an escape room. You will need to pre-register for the escape room, and you can visit hatfield.org for that. Indoor pickleball starts January 6th. We're partnering with XL Sports to offer this. It's Mondays and Fridays from 9:30 a.m. to noon, Wednesdays 12:30 to 3 p.m. It's $30 per resident, $45 for non-resident, and again, you can register online at Hatfield Rec. Our American Girl Tea is coming up. The featured American Girl this time is Julie Albright. You can enjoy tea, snacks, crafts, and story and more, and that takes place Sunday, January 12th from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30. It'll be here in the community room. It's $15 per child, and register again, hatfieldrec.com. We're also, we have available throughout late fall and the winter season, discount ski tickets to area ski resorts. You can purchase tickets here at the Township Administration Building during normal business hours. The complete list of resorts, ski resorts, can be found on the Township website, and the tickets are coming soon, it says so. The other thing I wanted to do, I don't know if many of you knew that the tree out in the hall was our giving tree. So we would like to thank everyone that participated and contributed to the 2019 Hatfield Township Giving Tree. With such a great response and so much generosity, we were able to assist 6 local families this year. So we'd like to thank everyone who participated in that, and that is all.
All right.
Signing off.
Last official report. Well done. All right, Planning and Zoning Committee, Commissioner Rogers.
Right now, what we have is several action items that we need to work on.
Oh, those are the, okay. All right, so if other than the action items, any other
No.
reporting? Okay, so let's jump into our action items. First is Resolution 19-33. Is there a motion for approval with regard to the Sterling Business Center Lot 2B land development, and it's an amended approval?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Rogers. Who has this one? Ken does?
We'll take it. Thank you, Mr. President. The Sterling Business Center is the final phase of the Line Lexington Industrial Park. Knappen and Associates is developing 3 lots in that phase. The first one to be developed is Lot 2B. This was approved by the board. Actually, there have been 2 approval resolutions for Lot 2B. We thought we were done, but the architect submitted plans. It resulted in 1 additional waiver that was needed for the project, and the resolution you have before you reflects that 1 additional waiver. There is nothing else. Otherwise, the approval remains exactly as it had been prior to that. So, waiver's been recommended by everyone who's seen it. All the staff have looked at it, and it's ready for action this evening.
All right. Any questions, comments from residents or commissioners? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of Resolution 19-33, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Action item number 2, Resolution 19-34. Is there a motion for approval with regard to the Sterling Business Center Lot 2A land development?
So moved.
By Commissioner Thomas. Second by Commissioner Andrus. Ken, I assume you have this as well?
Yes, thank you. And this is, Lot 2A is just to the south of Lot 2B that we just discussed. Lot 2A is to be developed similarly with a smaller building, approximately 112,000 square foot building on this property. And it's about 16 acres, and there's a rendering of an approximation of what the building will look like. And it will be visible from Route 309 and from Sterling Drive. The project has been through all of the appropriate reviews and has received approvals and recommendations from all of the reviewing agencies. It's been recommended by the Planning and Zoning Committee and is ready for the board to take action.
All right. Any questions or comments from residents, from commissioners, or anyone else? All right, then I will call the question. All in favor of Resolution 19-34, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. All right, we have 2 items on our agenda, numbers 3 and 4, that are going to be deferred until one more meeting at the very end of the year, and either our township manager and/or our solicitor will explain why, and it is related to our budget process.
So there's a requirement that we advertise the budget 10 days prior to you adopting it. It has to be adopted before you set the taxes. Notwithstanding our sending the ad to the reporter well in advance of the advertising requirements, they didn't run the ads. So without an ad, we cannot consider these 2 items. So we have scheduled a special meeting for the commissioners on Tuesday, December 31st at 9 a.m. here in this room. It will be for the sole purpose of adopting these items. So we can't act on them tonight, and we'll continue it until then.
So for those of you who are unfamiliar with what that mean, or what those 2 items are, it's our budget for next year. We've gone, the budget process, which Aaron has laid out a number of different times at a number of different meetings, is relatively involved. It starts early in the fall, and the budget has gone through all of its approvals. This would actually be the 6th year with no tax increase, so there's no expected tax increase, and those are the ordinances that are presented here. So on the 31st, we expect that we would pass our budget again, similar to last year, although improved services, but at the same tax rates. And so that is why I was teasing Commissioner Thomas that she thought that tonight was going to be her last meeting. But the truth is, we need her for a little bit of time on December 31st so that we can have a budget for next year.
Gladly do that.
And so if we were smart enough, maybe we could have done this multiple times. We'd get you back time after time after time, but I guess we missed that opportunity.
And you should note the reporter is giving us the ads for free for their mistake.
That's also good to know.
Yes, it's a few $100s, so that helps.
Good, good. All right, so we're going to jump to action item number 5, which is ordinance number 691. Is there a motion for approval with regard to the truck restriction on Berge Road, Cowpath Road to Durstein Road?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rogers. Aaron, I think you have this one.
I do, yes, thanks, Mr. President. This is simply an ordinance that would uphold the restriction that's been in place for probably the last 25 years, just in that corridor of neighborhoods between Berge and Durstein Road, Cowpath and Durstein on Berge Road, restricting a certain size truck. So the signs have been there for 25 years. We had to update based on some new requirements for truck restrictions. So Anton, in our traffic engineer consultant, did a study, and the study showed that trucks should not be using that corridor, just like the township decided many years ago. So if the board would approve this ordinance, those restrictions would remain in place, and Chief and the police department will continue to monitor and enforce that restriction.
All right, any questions from residents or commissioners? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of ordinance number 691, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Our last action item for tonight, is there a motion to authorize the solicitor to sign the settlement stipulation with regard to the real estate assessment appeal for 84 Durstein Road, condo number 1? Motion by Commissioner Thomas.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Andrus. I believe our solicitor probably has this one.
Yeah, I'd like to bring you assessment settlements that provide a check to the township and let John handle the ones where you have to write a check. But John wasn't available to cover this tonight, so that I am here. This is an assessment settlement for the years 2017, 18, and 19. As you know, we follow the lead of the school districts since they carry the heavy water in these assessments and tax implications, and they have recommended that we go along with this settlement. It is a slight decrease in value for the property, which results in our having to write them a check, and it's about $8,000 over that 3-year period, and then the value will stick for the upcoming years. So it's our recommendation that we follow the school district's lead on this.
And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this, from time to time, these come in, and I'll tell you that in my years here, more often than not, we're on the good side of it, where there's assessments that allow us to bring in some additional tax monies. But in all fairness, if there are properties that are assessed differently, and there needs to be an adjustment in this scenario where there needs to be money's paid out, then that fairness dictates that we do so. So with that,
Lose some.
so any questions from any residents or commissioners? Hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Before we have citizens' comments, I wanted to just say a couple of things, or a quick item. It's bittersweet tonight as well. Vice President Hughes couldn't join us this evening, but it is his term will be ending at the end of this year too. He has been a commissioner for us for, I think it's 10 years. And he has been a rock for us. He really has in a lot of ways. An unsung hero that many people here who attend our meetings and others who either watch or read about it in the newspaper would not necessarily know that he is a rock for us when it comes to decision making. And so it is with a little bit of bittersweetness as well that we wish him the best. And so wanted to make sure that everybody knew that. And questions or comments? All right, citizens' comments on agenda items or otherwise?
President Hatfield Fire Company, the members wish you guys a happy holidays. Just to give you guys a quick note for next year, there is a change in line officer. Chief Lurch will be no longer our chief. After 15 years of serving, 5 years as chief, he has stepped down. So just give you guys a heads up. I don't want to hear it on the streets, and I figured I'd tell you guys straight up. So.
Okay. No, we appreciate that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
The line officers will be chosen by our new chief, which will be.
Okay. All right. It is the holiday season. The next time we meet it will be after Christmas, but before New Year's. We want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, certainly Happy Holidays. And before I entertain a motion to adjourn, I need to announce that we met in executive session before tonight's meeting to discuss litigation, and we're going to meet after this meeting in executive session to discuss personnel. Any other questions or comments for the good of the order? All right, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rogers. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thanks for coming out, folks.